Hello, and welcome to Viewpoints, Dominion DMS's video podcast series where we highlight our vendor partners. I'm Sharon Kitzman, president of Dominion DMS, and with us today, we have Zach Dunham. He's the director of business development at AIB. Zach, welcome.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So why don't we start where we almost always start, which is tell us a little bit about yourself and AIB, and maybe you can tell us what AIB actually stands for.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, first off, AIB is a family company started by my mom and dad in the mid-90s and started off as National Automotive Information Bureau. And so I think back then they had a CPA who was like, that's kind of a long name. So you may want to, try to shorten that up a little bit. So I think they went with AIB, and it's just kind of been like that since then. So, but yeah, so I do business development. My mom is the CEO. My dad has retired. My brother is the engineer. He's the smart guy. So he does all of our developing. And then also too, my sister is involved. She does all the business operations and the HR and the accounting stuff. So it's one big happy family here. And yeah, that's kind of, a little bit about AIB.
Yeah, wow, you really are a family business.
For sure, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I trust that everything is going well for you year to date in 2023. I know dealers have been doing well, so hopefully your business has been the recipient of some of that as well.
Yeah, it sure has. We provide a solution called Title Direct, and that facilitates the dealer's title and registration. We're currently only in Texas, but Texas is a big state, as most of your listeners are probably aware. We have over 700 franchise dealerships that use our platform to facilitate title registration. And the Texas has made some recent legislative changes that will impact that aspect of the business. And so the portal that dealers use to process their title work online is called Web Dealer. Up until this date, it's kind of been like an optional tool for dealers to use. And the DMV has passed new legislation that will require dealers to use Web Dealer by July of 2025. And
wow.
So, the dealers who kind of held out on that for a while are kind of, they see that, that time is near. And so in the meantime, they're making moves to come online. And so with us, they're seeing the value of the integration that we have with the DMS and automating that process for them. So it's been pretty busy getting them up and running.
Excellent. I recently moved to Florida, which is a state where the dealer handles the titling of the vehicle. And wow, it was a smooth process, not having to go to the DMV and get the tags and have to worry about the tag expiring and all that kind of good stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely what we feel is an important part that many people don't know about the customer experience. And so
Yeah.
if we can help support that and provide a positive experience for the dealer's customers, then, we're doing our job.
That's excellent. I imagine you have some competition even in Texas, right? So is there something unique about AIB's solution that you'd like to make sure our listeners know?
I would say that, we provide our solution it's a very modern and user-friendly interface. It's not too complicated. And so it's really easy to learn. And it's just, if you're going to use it every day, it needs to be inviting. And I think that our interface provides that. Also, too, things do come up, not glitches, but like, questions or support. And, our support team is, I think one of the best out there. And so if the dealers have any issues, they have a partner like us that they can call or create a case, and we'll be right there for them.
Yeah, those questions usually come up when it's a unique scenario, right? The first time that they're doing some sort of process that they haven't done before.
Exactly.
Support definitely makes the difference.
Mhm.
There's about 600 software solutions in our industry here in automotive, and some of them just kind of sit in the background and do their thing. Others, like yours, are consumer facing, and the users in the dealership have to be really crisp on how that process works. Is there anything as a DMS provider that we can be doing differently to support the workflow for AIB and, make it better for our joint client, the dealer?
Yeah, I think, with our solution, it integrates with the DMS. And so, the integration, first and foremost, needs to be, reliable, and I think you guys provide a reliable integration for that. And so, potentially, if the integration is not reliable, if there's, server errors or something like that, that could be, but you guys do a great job of that. So, but as long as I know that a lot, and I may be getting off tangent here, but there's been some talk about DMSs like kind of making an all-in-one product. And so, that's, I think what we hear from dealers is like, hey, I don't like to use all these different applications to do my job. I think that's just kind of normal in business. I use several applications a day myself, and
Yeah.
but each application is specific to a certain function, and I don't think I'm not too sure if like one company can provide 100% the best solution in every aspect of the business, because there's so much moving parts. And so as long as the integration, the interface between the DMS and the third party is smooth, and the third party can offer a user-friendly application to and not frustrate the dealer at all, I think everything will be good that way. So yeah, that's kind of my point on that.
Yeah, we are looking at ways that we can offer third parties like yourself additional APIs to make that even better. Things like single sign-on and things
Right.
like that, so that the user doesn't even think about the fact that it's a separate application in and of itself.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of the integrations are like extract only. And so I think a write back, is important. In our situation, for example, the DMV fees, which the customer or the dealer has to collect from the customer, ours, figures those out to the penny, based off of like a wide specification. And so, we figured those out independent of what the DMS provides us. If we could write those back to the DMS and update the deal accordingly so that they can, collect the adequate amount from the customer, that would, remove a huge pain from the dealership, because as you may be familiar with, if you over collect from the customer, at least here in Texas, by $2 or $3, the dealership has to issue the customer a refund check. And one or two here or there is not that bad, but sometimes it's like 100 a month. And those add up for sure, having to write the check, right, the postage to get it to the customer. And a lot of times, if you're a customer, you get a check for $3 from the dealership, you're like, hey, what's this for? And you're going to call the dealership and say, hey, I got a check for this amount. What is this for? And that, if we could help eliminate that, then that would, eliminate kind of an unnecessary call in that situation.
And maybe eroding some trust with the consumer as well.
Exactly.
Well, I've written it down. We are anxious to do anything and everything to streamline these processes. So that's a good one that I will share with my product team. So thank you.
My pleasure.
So my next question is one that I usually ask third-party vendors when I say, as you and your leadership team are sitting around the conference table strategizing, but in your case, maybe it's the Sunday dinner table, right? In a family-owned company. But as you're sitting around kind of strategizing about what to do next, maybe improvements to make or strategic initiatives to pursue. And you're thinking about it from the perspective of what's happening in the industry next, right? And we've had all these kind of ebbs and flows, right? Since the pandemic, it feels like then chip shortage, labor shortage, rates, EVs, it just keeps coming. But as you and your family are sitting around thinking about what's next in the auto industry, and therefore what's next for AIB, anything interesting that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think one that comes up is obviously, with the pandemic, it's, vastly sped up the conversion to more digital, online sales, where the customer, a lot of customers aren't even coming into the dealership. And so since we deal with title and registration, there's a lot of documents that are involved for that require, signatures from the customer. And so, one thing that we're, definitely trying to factor into our process is a more seamless process to provide them with so that they can capture those documents digitally. And so, that's kind of, we're seeing that, with the pandemic, it's already here. And, even in Texas, for some reason, a lot of people are coming here to buy cars, even though they don't live here. And so I don't know why that's the case. Maybe because, the prices here are better. But obviously if they live in Wyoming or something like that, then, they want to buy the vehicle from their house in Wyoming and not actually have to come to the dealership and test drive the car. They know exactly what they want. They just want to make the transaction, and they want to make the transaction 100% online. And so we're definitely a part of that, process and trying to make sure that the dealership can do that digitally. And so that's kind of, on our roadmap now and for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, excellent. I think it's not just the pandemic, it's the generation that's starting to buy cars, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And the idea that they've grown up with doing everything digitally and
For sure.
not wanting to succumb to what might be considered a little bit of an older process on site.
100%.
All right. So if we have dealers in Texas out there listening today that would like to pursue a relationship with AIB, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you? Do you have a website or?
Yeah, so it is a family company. We all wear multiple hats. I'm in charge of sales and marketing and business development. And so we do have a website. We have a form on the website that they can fill in to, and that will email our team, their interests. They can contact me directly. I can provide my email, my phone, my cell phone, whatever you guys need. And, I think, especially with this web dealer mandate coming up in July of 25, they can do one of two things. They could, do the grueling process of manually inputting the data themselves without using a third party like ours that integrates everything with the DMS. But that's going to be pretty time consuming. And, we're all humans. So if we're punching in the information, there's more likelihood for errors, and errors lead to rejections. And, in Texas, you only have a certain amount of days to file the paperwork. And if you don't file the paperwork within that time frame, you get charged, penalty fees. And so our solution can definitely help eliminate that and just make the process a lot more seamless for the dealership, and in the end result, trying to, provide a better experience for their customers as well.
Yeah, great. If you are a Dominion DMS dealer or not, you can go to dominiondms.com and go to our partners page. All of our partners are listed there, and you'll find AIB, because they're in alphabetical order, at the top of the list. So, and that links you directly back to Zach's website. And from there, as he mentioned, you can submit the lead form. All right. So as we close today, we both live and breathe automotive. You've probably lived it since you were a toddler with your parents owning this company. Do you have a car story, maybe a favorite, car that brings up an emotional connection to you in your history, or just even an aspirational car that you're looking forward to purchasing someday?
Well, whenever I turned 16, the car that I wanted was a two-door Tahoe, 1995 two-door Tahoe. That was like the coolest car back in the day. Even though I think I got my driver's license in like 2020 or 2002. So, it was a 70-year car at the time, and I think the price for it was like way more than a new car. So parents didn't get me that at that time. I think I ended up getting a new Tahoe, which, like I said, was less than that or that used Tahoe. And I think since then I have only driven a Chevrolet. I haven't driven any other make. And I kind of want to, when I'm 95 years old, if I'm still alive, then be like, yeah, I've been driving a Chevrolet my entire life. So.
Entirely.
Um,
And you have to have a truck because you're in Texas, right?
Yeah. So I've been kind of going back and forth between, a Tahoe and a truck. And my wife their family has a ranch here in Texas. So,
Okay.
I think the truck would probably be, a better use for that too.
I was recently in Montana for the Auto Dealers Association, and I stayed at the same hotel that the event was hosted at, and I was the only car in the parking lot,
Oh,
right?
wow.
It was just all trucks.
All trucks. Yep.
So there are certain states where you got to have a truck. Gotta have
For
a truck.
sure. Yep. Texas is one of them.
All right. Well, Zach, thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks for educating everybody a little bit more on what AIB offers, and best of luck with the countdown to July of 2025, right?
Yeah, I appreciate it, Sharon, and it was a fun time. This is my first podcast. I look forward to our continued partnership. And if your dealers or our dealers can use each other in any way that we can help benefit them, I'm certainly here to help.
Excellent. Thanks so much for your time, Zach. Best of luck to you.
Thanks so much.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.